Hello, friends, and welcome to this episode of the podcast. I'm absolutely delighted to bring to you here a very, very interesting, refreshing, and very different conversation. I'm here with Dr. Mohiba, and I will ask her to introduce herself in a minute. But the conversation we're going to have today is about how, as a society, we see marriage and divorce as two opposite ends or, two sides of the coin. But in the work that both of us have done, and she's a marriage coach and I am a divorce coach, we have recognized that there's actually a whole spectrum. There's a whole range of relationships between what we consider, the blissfully, happily married people who have their, 50th wedding anniversary versus those who absolutely can't stand the sight of each other and have gotten divorced. There's a whole range of dynamics that evolve between two people. And that's the conversation we're going to have here today. So, welcome, Dr. Mohiba. It is such a privilege to have you here on this podcast. Thank you so much for sparing your valuable time. And I would love for you to introduce yourself to our audience and just share a little bit for us about your journey. How did you find yourself where you are right now as a marriage coach?
Thank you ever so much for giving me this great opportunity to be together with you, to be together with our audience, to chat about, discuss, view, review a fascinating phenomenon, old phenomenon, marriage, and as old, divorce. So, yes, and you are right to speak of these two aspects of life very often and more often related. And so it's a great opportunity for us and for the audience to have an idea, have a broader idea, have a different idea of what these two concepts, these two aspects of life are. Yeah.
Thank you so much. So, could you share with us a little bit about your journey? I saw on your profile you said you've fallen in love with coaching. And I know that for you, like for me, this is a second career or a kind of a reinvention because of, certain journeys or pathways that came to us in our personal life, which led us here. So, it would be lovely to hear from you about what led you to where you are right now.
Right. I believe so much in the unknown happening and the unexpected happening. And we need to plan and we need to decide what we want. And what is fascinating is the unexpected happens. And part of the unexpected is that we have met.
Yeah.
And I laughed at first. I just laughed when I read you were the divorce doctor, because I am the relationship doctor, if you want, if I have to call myself this. And one major relationship is, of course, marriage, indeed. So I called myself the marriage doctor in completion of you being the divorce doctor. And you are right to speak of the importance of coaching. I often say, I wish I could have been coached when I started dating. I wish I could have been coached before marriage. I wish I could have been coached during marriage, before we had the kids, after we had the kids. Indeed, I wished we could have coaching at every great event of our lives. Marriage is an event. Divorce is another event. And what is fascinating is that they are not, as you mentioned, indeed, marriage, then divorce. And sometimes, by the way, you have remarriage, some sort of return, and re-divorce. So I see them as so interrelated that they cannot be totally dissociated. And you are right about falling in love. I fall in love. And so I fell in love with coaching. Just I fell in love with my previous career, and which is academia. I used to be a university professor, and I refused to retire because I said, no, I'm too much in love with my career. It's a career for me. Why should I stop being a university professor? Do artists, singers, speakers, painters stop painting, stop singing, stop? So I couldn't retire. I only retired when I met and fell in love with coaching. Wow. I truly fell in love with coaching. It represented everything I loved in life and I still love in life. It's interaction with the other. It's listening to the other. It's no judgment. We listen and we see the pain in the other, the suffering in the other. And we just wonder, could it be better? Of course it could. Through coaching, you realize that there are tools, real tools you can use to stop the pain. And this sort of interaction, what fascinated me in coaching, helping the other is a great, great moment for me. Because I often say life has given me so much that I need to give back. I need to give back all that I have got in me. For years and years and years, I've accumulated all this expertise, all this knowledge, and I constantly feel it has to be given to others who give it to others.
Absolutely. Thank you so much. That's so beautiful. I mean, almost very poetic, the way you described your journey. And for me, my background, as a gynecologist or as someone who's worked on women's rights and women's health for a couple of decades, I think for both of us, where we have arrived in coaching is through our own wound. And I think that is really the best kind of a healer, someone who has also had their own healing journey. So I think especially with marriage, as you said quite rightly, love, romance, marriage is currently in our society positioned as the most important milestone in your life, particularly for women. And we are just thrown into it. There's not enough coaching, counseling. I think for many of us, even the relationships that we see around us are not necessarily healthy role models. And we end up in a situation where we don't understand boundaries, we don't know how to manage them, we don't recognize our own triggers, we ourselves are not emotionally healthy enough to then be an equal partner to someone else who's bringing their own trauma and their own dysfunction and issues. So what are some of the maybe let's say top 5 challenges that you see among people who come to you for marriage counseling?
As I said earlier, marriage counseling should happen before marriage, while you are dating or while you are meeting someone or while you are being introduced to someone. There is space for coaching. It simply helps you go through a lot of thinking, a lot of decisions. This is a great moment and the decision when you are going to come together with someone, and particularly that now we live much, much longer. If in the past you knew you were going to spend maybe 10 years, 20 years, now you know, if everything goes, let's call it well, you are going to stay together for half a century, for
Absolutely.
60 years.
Yeah.
That's extremely long. So we can call it the most important or one of the most important decisions in your life.
Yeah.
And consequently, somehow you need to know you are doing something good for you, something healthy. I heard you use the word healthy, and it's the most important word in relationships. Healthy relationships. And they better be healthy, because what we need is good health. We don't need to enter into any unhealthy relationship. And so when from the start you think, I am healthy, you are healthy, let's enter into something that absolutely needs to be healthy, which is our relationship. So before we get married, we better think, are you that one with whom I can sit and have common background and have common ground? And I think always never get bored. I wonder if many of us think boredom, no to boredom. I think this is the first rule. I want to sit with you and never, ever feel bored.
Absolutely.
Otherwise, it's already a first sign of an unhealthy relation. I need to enjoy life with you. And enjoy, we come into what is enjoy. Well, whatever the two of us enjoy, or whatever one enjoys while the other enjoys something else. I often speak and think of marriage as dancing. And in coaching, we use this term, dancing in this moment.
Right.
Coaching is indeed dancing, a dancing between coach and coachee, right in this moment. And that's marriage. I always see marriage as dancing. is not more romantic than dancing. And let's enter into a dance, but let's define before we start dancing what dance we wish to dance. We better
Absolutely.
know which dance we're dancing.
Otherwise,
Are you
both are trying to do a different dance, and that's chaos on the
the other?
dance floor.
Yeah, the other would even understand what is it you're doing. So
Absolutely.
define, and the key word is healthy boundaries.
Right.
And often people refrain from the concept of boundaries, say, no, I don't want limits. No, boundaries are an opportunity to be free and to
Right.
tell the other you are free. So these healthy boundaries, what is it you like? What is it I like? What is it we are going to enjoy together or and separately? These healthy boundaries tell the other who you are and tell you who they are and how far we can go. So dancing, I always have this metaphor of dancing. Let's at least which dance we dance. Is it a tango? Is it a cha-cha-cha? Is it a salsa?
Yeah.
And is it a rock and roll? And each one has its own rules and its own intimacy and its own distance. So we better know what is going on before
That
we
is
go into
beautiful.
that.
That is beautiful. So you often, the people you coach as a marriage coach, do you often see boundaries as being one of the issues that are causing conflict in a marriage?
It's the most important. Absolutely the most important.
Can you give us a few examples, a couple of examples?
Values.
Okay.
I'm extremely frank. What about you? Oh no, I like hiding my life. We're going to enter into a healthy relationship.
Right.
You can hide what you like, but you need to have a healthy relationship for anything that is common. You can decide not to tell me what happened somewhere, with whom, where, when. That's not me. But let us start a healthy relationship where we already share. So for what we share, let us decide on what is it, how far I can go, how far you can go.
Right. So it's all about negotiation. And I think
It's
before you start negotiation, you need to know what you want. Otherwise, you can't ask the other person, right?
yes,
So a lot of
yeah.
self-awareness before you create boundaries.
You've said
Beautiful.
the key word, which is awareness.
Yes.
We need, this is what coaching is all about. Coaching, the first minute you come to see your coach, it's for you to become aware, fully aware of who you are. And you say, no, I know myself. Yes, the coach is there to allow you to go deeper into yourself, to rediscover something you said before or you thought before. So it's all wonderful for you to become self-aware, so that when you sit with the other in this relationship, you need to know who you are and then understand who the other is and accept or not accept. See how far you can accept and how far you will enjoy
Right.
the
That
company
is,
of the
yeah,
other.
but that is so similar to what I do as a divorce coach that I'm finding it quite fascinating. Because when people have had a breakup or a separation or a divorce, when there has been kind of a almost a traumatic, cutting off of an intimate relationship, I think that is the place where people are in so much pain, that to be able to sit with that pain and discomfort, and first, as you said, go deep and understand who you are, therefore what you bring to a relationship. Because for me, my priority when someone comes to me after having gone through any of these traumas is for them to find the healing and the emotional freedom, but also eventually to have the confidence and the capacity to negotiate healthy relationships in the future. Because essentially human beings are social animals. You may not marry immediately after a divorce, but I think all relationships are to be negotiated, and we are not really trained or conditioned to do that, particularly as women, particularly growing up, in our part of the world. So, what are your thoughts on that?
Yeah. When you speak of negotiation, I like this because I would have the same concept,
Yeah.
maybe because I deal with marriage, so it's more romantic than divorce. So I use terms like sit together and just talk about what you love and what you're not so interested in, so that what you call negotiation comes naturally. You would have been with someone a couple of times, you would have gone to the restaurant, you would have observed something, body language, tone, words, stories told, and you find that he or she makes you laugh. You just laugh when you are together. It's extraordinary. Ah, you think, oh, I'm happy to realize that we've got this in common,
Right.
humor. And that's another point. As I was saying earlier on, boundaries, setting boundaries are important. Sharing now is important.
Right.
Share humor. Sometimes share also ideology. You know, I think that politically this and you think politically that. Check if you think the same, similar. That's wonderful, you know. We think along similar terms. And what if we don't think along these terms? No problem. We do not have to constantly discuss matters that we do not necessarily agree.
Right.
You know, I
Right.
remember discussing with my husband whether Saddam was right to challenge the West or not. And we used to argue and become very tense about it. Years later, I would say, who cares? You could have thought Saddam should have gone there or not gone there,
Right.
and stop, and
Right.
stop.
So what you're saying is we need to choose wisely. What is it that is in alignment with our values, and what is may not be in alignment with our values, but is it disturbing our core values to such an extent that we can't be in a relationship? Or is it
Yes,
something, as you said, a little bit of humor, a little bit of compassion and understanding? Because after all, we don't want to marry a twin, right? We want to marry or be in a relationship with a different person who brings something to this relationship together that makes everything better for both.
yes, it's serving. While you were saying this beautifully well, I think in terms of serving, is a discussion
Yeah.
about this, whatever issue, is serving our
Right.
relationship?
Right.
Not necessarily,
Right.
but it's instructive. You understand the other understands your point of view, and it's an opportunity. As you said, we're not twins. Oh, you think that politically this should have been, or you think that historically this should have been.
Mhm.
If you discuss it with this ease
Right.
for knowledge, you know,
Right.
quest for knowledge, for better understanding issues, we have the chance, the two of us, to discuss a matter not from one perspective, but now from two perspectives. Isn't it wonderful? If this goes and serves our knowledge, our quest for knowledge, that's wonderful. Wonderful that we discuss such matters.
True.
What we should never go into is try to change the other's perspective. I have listened to your perspective, you have listened to my perspective. One of us could very well say, you know what, I think you're right about that.
Mm.
Or next time, the other would say, I think you were also right about this. So it becomes
Right.
knowledge. We are getting a lot of knowledge and expertise. We're not challenging each other.
Right.
That is another key concept. We are not together to challenge each other.
Right.
We are together for the warmth of the
Absolutely.
relations,
That
for
is so
the
beautiful.
beauty. Yeah,
That is so
for the
beautiful,
beauty.
Mohiba. And I think, again, bringing it back to the work I do, I think what you said was so powerful is that you can't change the other person. The only change you can bring about is yourself. And in the work that I do, the coaching that I do, that is actually something people find very challenging, especially if you are in a victim mindset, where, you're always saying, oh, well, he behaved that way, that's why this happened, or, this is what happened on the outside, that's why this happened. So taking ownership, as you are saying quite rightly, in a very mature way of your own emotional health by not allowing needless things to trap you and by recognizing that you have the power of choice to react or
Wonderful.
respond differently, right?
Yeah,
So I think that's something, again, I see huge alignment between having a healthy marriage as well as having a healthy divorce or, a healthy
absolutely.
separation. Because I
Absolutely.
think a separation or a breakup or a divorce is actually a kind of a doorway, it's an opportunity to do different things in the future. So once we come out of the victim mindset and, oh, poor me, this happened, that person betrayed, cheated, this, that, whatever, my work as a coach really, and you also said that very beautifully, is to, you said to allow them to go deep. And I see that as, as light bearers. We are there just to shine a light on the path that they are already, on. And most people know inside of themselves who they really are, what is their highest potential. It's a lot of the conditioning and a lot of the a lack of conscious awareness of themselves. And as coaches, we are really light bearers. We just want to shine a light and say, look, here's the path. You already know. I'm just here to support you. Go on that.
I
So I think
love
I
this.
see that as a beautiful alignment.
I love this because for half a century, I was with my students, interacting with my students, and I would always say, I am just your coach.
Yeah,
I'm not playing. You are the players.
absolutely.
So please, come on now, play well, interact, discuss your ideas, because I can just sort of coach you and arrange the play, but the play is yours. And I
Absolutely.
realized after leaving university and entering coaching, I would laugh and say, now I have become truly a coach. I said it for half a century, jokingly, but
True.
now I say it with the same approach. When we
Mm,
sit with our coaches, we are here to help them see how to play better. We are
absolutely.
still not playing. We are
No,
not sitting with their husbands or wives. We're
no,
not sitting in a romantic relationship. They are the romantic partners. We
absolutely.
have nothing to do with it. And I love the fact that you speak of the divorce. The way you speak of divorce is exactly the way I speak of divorce, in the sense that when people come to me and say, you know what, I have totally failed. I say,
Mm-hmm.
failed? We never failed.
Mm,
It's just a move. We move on. We
yeah,
don't fail. And the best failures, what we call failures, are the best lessons in life and the best windows into something brilliant and bright. And I often say, if we have the chance of having missed something, I call it the chance if we have thought about it, gone deep into it, no blame, no shame, neither the other nor me, no. Think about it and say, why has it not worked so well? What could I have done?
absolutely.
What, yeah, what could I have done? I can't say, what could he or she have done?
Right.
I have no mastery of the other.
Right.
And this brings me to the other concept of changing the other.
Mm.
Anytime somebody says, please, can you fix my, I fix nothing. I
No.
have no plan of fixing you, fixing the
True.
other. No. Each one rethinks,
Mm.
refeels who I want to be, who I
Wow.
want to be first
True.
within myself, for myself, and with the other. Whatever the relationship, we need to go into a healthy relationship, whether it's we are going into marriage, whether we are going into divorce. It's the same approach. Let us leave marriage or divorce with a smile and all the well-being in us,
That's so
feeling
beautifully
well.
put. That's so beautiful. Thank you so much. And I think, just to sort of close our conversation today, I think what you said about healthy relationships in the work that I do and even in the work that you do, what we are really trying to guide people to do is to have a healthy relationship with themselves first, because however they are with themselves is how they will be with other people. And therefore, I think, the analogy of a coach works very well, like in the sports field, for example, say Serena Williams, definitely has a coach, but the coach is never going to come onto the playing field.
No,
She needs to
no,
pick up the racket, she needs to do the exercises, and she needs to actually play the game. And I think that is what we are guiding the people who come to us for doing, which is why I think, working with a coach requires a certain kind of mindset also. Because this is not therapy, this is not counseling, this is not a
yes,
sort of do it for yourself kind of a thing. They have to be willing to take responsibility, to look deep, make the changes that are needed, and also the courage to move forward. Which is why I always like to say we are called human beings because we are not yet done. What you said quite rightly. We're just going to keep being. Today you're being this, maybe tomorrow you know better, you're going to be something different. So it's a whole journey. And it's quite a privilege actually as a coach to be with people on this journey because it's such a powerful moment in life to see someone, evolve beyond the old negative patterns. And it's been such a delight talking to you, Mohiba. I'm very excited to have future conversations with you. And I just want to tell our
very pleased.
listeners that you can look forward to some very, very exciting topics because with her rich experience and the work that I'm doing, which is fairly, I would say, pioneering in India because there is still a lot of shame and stigma. And it's important for us to recognize that when we say taking responsibility or taking ownership, we want to steer clear of feeling guilty or shamed or feeling that you're being blamed. So I think these concepts we will explore in future conversations. And thank you so much for joining us here. And do like, share, and subscribe. And we look forward to seeing you in the next episode.